So I'm turning to TikTok because I feel like it always has the answers and I really need some advice right now. So what do you do whenever you feel like God is just being silent? Whenever you're used to him talking to you and he's just not right now.
On the morning of December 28th, 2024, in the quiet suburban city of Brandon, Mississippi, something felt wrong. Relatives of Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield had been trying to reach them for hours. Phone calls went unanswered. Text messages showed as delivered, but there were no replies. That silence alone was unusual. When family members pulled into the driveway of the Sheffield home, they immediately noticed something that deepened their concern. Both of the couple's vehicles were parked outside near the garage. If the cars were there, Jennifer and Brandon should have been inside. They approached the front door. They knocked once, then again, and again. No footsteps, no movement, no voices from inside, only silence. Worry turned into fear. After more unanswered calls and repeated knocking, relatives contacted emergency services and requested a welfare check. Officers from the Brandon Police Department arrived shortly after. From the outside, nothing appeared disturbed. The windows were intact. The doors were locked. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken glass. No damage to the frame. It looked like an ordinary, peaceful suburban home. But when officers received no response from inside, they made the decision to enter. What they found would end the illusion of normalcy forever. Inside the house, the air was still, quiet. Heavy. Officers moved through the rooms. They discovered the bodies of 30-year-old Jennifer Sheffield and her 40-year-old husband, Brandon Sheffield. Both were deceased. Initial observations indicated a violent incident. Understand how this happened. We have to go back, before the police tape, before the headlines, before the final morning. Brandon, Mississippi, is considered one of the safest communities in the state, a quiet suburb of Jackson with roughly 25,000 residents. It's the kind of place where neighbors wave and children ride bikes down tree-lined streets. Tragedies like this are rare. Jennifer Sheffield seemed to embody success and promise. Born September 9, 1994, she dedicated her life to medicine and science. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry and later a Master of Medical Science in Biology. She worked as an emergency room nurse at Mississippi Medical Center, a role that requires calm under pressure, fast decision-making, and emotional resilience. Colleagues described her as intelligent, composed, and deeply compassionate. But Jennifer wasn't finished. She planned to continue her education and become a physician. Outside the hospital, she shared her life online. On TikTok, she posted videos about gardening, cooking, and budgeting. Her content painted the picture of a warm, faith-centered home life. Friends described her as driven and kind, someone who loved God, someone who wanted to help people. Living alongside her was her husband, Brandon Sheffield, born in Mobile, Alabama, on September 22, 1984. Brandon appeared to fit the mold of a stable suburban father. He enjoyed fishing, working on cars, and playing disc golf. Those who knew him described him as outgoing and humorous, the kind of person who liked to make others laugh. Most importantly, he loved his daughters, Gracie and Kylie. Friends and neighbors. The Sheffield family looked strong, but behind that image, change was unfolding. There was a 10-year age gap between Jennifer and Brandon. When they met, she was young and focused on her studies. Brandon already had a daughter from a previous relationship. Jennifer embraced the role of stepmother and later welcomed Kylie with Brandon. For years, the family appeared united. But over time, something shifted. Jennifer continued to grow academically and professionally. She set ambitious goals. She worked long hospital shifts. She planned for medical school. According to friends, she began to feel lonely in her marriage. In one TikTok video, her tone changed dramatically. Instead of gardening tips or meal prep ideas, she asked a deeply personal question: what do you do when it feels like God is silent? She spoke about obstacles on a path that once seemed clear. She quoted a phrase: "The teacher is always silent during the test." It was subtle, but it was a crack in the image. In the fall of 2024, the couple made a decision. They would divorce, though they continued living under the same roof. Both changed their Facebook relationship status to single. It was not automatic. Each of them manually confirmed the separation. Publicly, it seemed peaceful. On December 10, 2024, just 18 days before the tragedy, Jennifer posted a detailed TikTok explaining the divorce. She appeared calm. She described Brandon as incredible. She said they were cooperating for the sake of their daughters. Assets were being split evenly. There were no court battles, no public fights. She spoke about budgeting carefully, cutting expenses, and preparing to buy her own home. She was planning for life as a single mother.to viewers. It looked like maturity.to experts who study domestic violence. That period, when someone prepares to leave, can be the most dangerous point 18 days later. Police would step into the house. Forensic evidence quickly ruled out robbery or outside involvement. The locks were intact. There were no signs of forced entry. Scene reconstruction determined that only 2 people were inside the home. According to the coroner's report and ballistic analysis, Brandon was identified as the sole aggressor. Jennifer had no realistic opportunity to escape. Investigators determined that Brandon shot Jennifer inside the home. The injuries were fatal. Afterward, he turned the weapon on himself, and no third party was involved. The case was legally closed as a murder-suicide, but the story did not end there when the bodies were released to the families. A decision was made to hold a joint memorial service for both Jennifer and Brandon. 2 memorial tables were arranged. Photographs later circulated online. Brandon's display included numerous framed photos, fishing pictures, images with friends, and personal memorabilia. Jennifer's table was noticeably smaller. The contrast sparked online outrage. Many questioned the ethics of honoring both the victim and the perpetrator in the same service. Others focused on the imbalance in presentation. For many observers, it felt as though the narrative of a fun-loving father overshadowed the reality of the violence. Today, one digital artifact remains untouched: that Jennifer's December 10th video. In it, she smiles. She speaks about budgeting. She calls her husband incredible. 18 days later, she would be gone. The case serves as a reminder of how carefully curated online images can mask private turmoil. A peaceful divorce. A safe suburb. A smiling video. Behind it all, tension was building. And on a quiet December morning, the silence inside that Brandon home became permanent.